Before we embark on tonight's broadcast, Frobisher, Baldcock, Grumble and Twat, Antipodean attorneys at law acting on behalf of Mr. Sedgwick, wish to make it known that despite the persistent rumours spread by Clockwork Coconut Productions, the aforementioned Mr. Sedgwick, 86, of no fixed abode, was never a member of the Piers Morgan Stuffed Chaffinch Club at Eton. Furthermore, he did not have sexual relations with that Gloucestershire-old spot.
The story so far. Following a sensual custard-related lesbian one-night stand, Laura Pendlebury and Polly Jenkins found themselves unwittingly conscripted into the Great Intergalactic War, forced to travel backwards in time to the point at which the Great War began, not to change the course of history, but to ensure that it followed its proper track, as they themselves were responsible for starting the Great War in the first place. The overweight couple landed in the executive lavatories of the House of Commons, where Laura was promptly gunned down by recalcitrant Lord Ashcroft, mistreated an early generation of the British sincere, but considerably more on his cabinet.
Oh my God, his head's imploded.
This is the universe, across the farthest reaches of which the Great War is raging, tearing impressive chunks from the Crab Nebula, reducing the 10-houser gate to 7 houses and 1 stump, unbuckling Orion's belt. They're running off screaming, but there is some hope through the debris and confusion. Lawrence Pendlebury and Polly Jenkins steer their time-travelling telephone box with the nimble dexterity of a Savile Row tailor on the clock.
Put the kettle on, Polly, old girl, and by that I don't mean jam it over your head like you did the last time.
I can't. It got eaten by the galaxy-devouring Narglebees on Metabelia's Fall.
Damn this war, damn its stoic catchphrases, its speeded-up sepia footage, and its chirpy housewives in their whaled-on corsets. Won't humanity ever learn? Honestly, you can't leave them alone for 5 minutes without one of them sticking a flag in another one's head and nicking his pocket watch.
But we started the Great War, Lawrence. Remember when you blew the British Prime Minister up in the last episode of the Laura Pendlebury Adventures? The episode that nobody listened to, which is why I thought I'd mention it again, on the off chance that somebody might accidentally tune in this time.
The man was screwing a dead pig, Polly. It wouldn't have been so bad if said pig hadn't been in a wheelchair claiming tax credits. Times have certainly changed. Only a handful of decades ago, John Profumo was brought to his knees for having an affair with a 19-year-old model, and Jeremy Thorpe was toppled from power for his alleged homosexual liaisons with Norman Scott. Nowadays, David Cameron fucks dead pigs and everyone passes it off as hijinks. No wonder that bastard believes he can get away with whatever he wants.
We're doing political satire this series then, although satire is probably too sophisticated a word to use in this context. At least we're still breaking the fourth wall, so there's some consistency.
That's the trouble with regeneration, Polly, old fat woman. You never know what you're gonna get. Buckle your seatbelt, me old constipated amoeba. It's time we consign the Great War to history. Or at least it will be after we've had the opening credits.
The Lawrence Pendlebury Adventures by Brian Hughes, Episode 1, The Descent into Darkness.
They call him Lawrence Pendlebury. He's been through Kendland to Berry. All the women think he's very fit, unlike his co-star Teddy Sedgwick, the most extraordinary. Heroic Lawrence Pendlebury.
I preferred the old theme song.
We didn't have an old theme song.
Exactly.
Right, here's a plan, Polynesian, me turgid old squid. I've drawn it up in chalk with lots of complicated symbols and footprints on this massive blackboard that I've somehow managed to squeeze inside the twatter. First, we head back to 21st century Earth and rhubarb.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Somebody was dicking about with harps. Something about rhubarb, was it?
This is a universe across the farthest reaches of which, wait, I've already done that bit. Time, as mentioned previously in the Laura Pendlebury Adventures somewhere, should be regarded as a sphere, although actually it shouldn't because it doesn't have enough dimensions for that, but just imagine, if you will, that time is an inflated balloon composed of individual moments, individual choices, all interconnected like some vast philosopher's knot. On second thoughts, forget about that. Lawrence and Polly are just about to land on the House of Commons executive lavatories again to carry out the first stage of their plan to bring the Great War stumbling to a halt. We'll return to the pseudo-scientific explanation shortly.
All their pork from shipping north. No wonder Ed Miliband was pulling a face when he ate that bacon butty. Ah, excellent. The Prime Minister's left his cubicle door open.
Why is he sat back to front on the bog completely naked?
According to internet rumours, David Cameron takes all his clothes off when he's having a dump, presumably because of the excessive amounts of shit coming out of both ends. Grab the Hessian sack, Polly, me old warthog. It's time we kidnapped ourselves a porky pork porker.
What the devil's going on? Unhand me, you Norwiconian oix. I'll set Boris on you. You wouldn't like that, you working class grubs.
For God's sakes, Polly, club the angry little sod over his oily head with your dildo.
What's this? This isn't me dildo. It's me brolly.
I couldn't care less if it was Don French's tampon. Just twat the chinless turd and help me drag him into TARDIS.
And it's the twatter. If the BBC catch you infringing copyright again, they'll have your ghoulies for dumplings.
As I was saying before being interrupted by the plot, time should perhaps be perceived as an enormous bubble constructed from interconnected moments. Sentient life forms, with the exception of certain overweight Americans from the Deep South, move continually forwards across its surface, leaping from one moment to the next. The course of their own individual destiny is determined by which branch or choice they take, because of time's spherical structure. Every moment connects to every other moment somewhere down the line, so any rashly made decisions with disastrous consequences could, under normal circumstances, be easily corrected by choosing the appropriate branch later on to put them back on course. This might be important to the unfolding events of this story.
Excuse the interruption, me old Brussels sprout, but these episodes only last 15 minutes and we're on a tight schedule. Stand by with a handbrake, Polly, we're about to land in Buckingham Palace.
So, explain to me again, for the listeners' benefit, Chancellor Osborne, exactly how this scam of yours works.
Well, ma'am, we plunder the working class's welfare safety net by telling them it's necessary to make such brave austerity cuts in order to bring down the national deficit. Then we siphon off the profits for our own selfish ends, cocaine and prostitutes for preference. We prefer to think of it not so much as a scam as politics.
I couldn't give a coiled corky's turd what you think, you obsequious fart. All I'm interested to know is, can I make those idiotic peasants pay for my palaces to be redecorated without them revolting?
Peasants are always revolting, ma'am. However, in this instance, might I suggest that your grandsons put in an appearance on DIY SOS, painting a wall in some god-forsaken ex-military serviceman's home or something. It'll appeal to the peasants' patriotism and blindside them to the irony of the situation.
Look at me sideways with a crochet mallet, Mr. Osborne, you scheming chinless toad. And I thought Philip was a total Nazi.
Stretched his ball bag over his head and hummed the Imperial March from Star Wars through it like a kazoo.
Who'd have thought it of Nigel Lawson?
Well, there's always a lot of loose skin left over when you lose such a massive amount of weight. Ah, good. There's Gideon. What's he gawking at? His jaw's flapping around more than the escape hatch on Cyril Smith's long
You
johns.
parked the twatter on Queen. I can see her diamond-encrusted boots sticking out from under the step. Bit like the Wicked Witch of the West, only with a corgi and a footman's blood-spattered toupee on top.
By my hairy breeches, you've crushed Queen Elizabeth II, you grotty benefit scroungers. That's regicide, that is.
Reg had nothing to do with it.
Joke supplied, courtesy of the Bumper Book of Antiquated Tory Wit. Copyright Giles Brandreth, 1886.
Just stick your broom handle head in this potato sack, Osborne. You're coming with us. Polly, the rolling pin.
And so the pattern was repeated. Lawrence and Polly kidnapping one prominent early 21st century Tory politician after another as part of their plan to end the Great War. Although exactly what they had in mind I couldn't tell you. Soon the Murdoch tabloids stroke homeless people's toilet paper were agog with attention-grabbing headlines such as "Minister stolen from private King Party. Terrorist-loving Corbyn denies all knowledge." Eventually the twatter dematerialised at the Albert Finney Memorial Hospital for their final pickup.
Ladies and gentlemen, assembled immigrant nurses and distinguished members of the right-wing press. It gives me, Arthur Lardbottom, Lord Mayor of 11 St Anne's-on-Sea, immeasurable pleasure to introduce the Secretary for Appalling States at National Health Service, Mr Jeremy Cunt.
It's Hunt.
Mr Cunt has kindly agreed in front of all these invited photographies to unveil this gold plaque, what commemorates the demolition of the previously underfunded, overused children's bronchial ward and its replacement with this much more profitable private plastic surgery clinic. Mr Cunt.
Impregnated 15 chickens and one overweight sheep.
It's hardly surprising Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't attend the Privy Council's secret induction ceremony then.
Lorks, it's those time-travelling kidnappers. Bugger this for a game of doctors and nurses. Time to
Hey,
scarper.
Polly, the inbred weasel's making a run for it. We need to wank him off.
Head him off, Lawrence.
That's what I said. Head him off.
Watch out, Polly. He's got a P45.
The squirming turd disappeared down that manhole where he belongs.
Folks, they're gaining on
There followed a death-defying Keystone Cop-style chase, which, as it transpired, was mostly visual, unfortunately for our listeners. However, several minutes later, down the gold-plated sewers beneath Lytham St. Anne's-on-Sea, Lawrence and Polly finally had Jeremy come...
It's Hunt, for crying out loud. Call it.
Polly, the frying pan.
Right-ho, Lawrence, me old jelly bean.
Just a moment. You can't go around treating legally elected representatives of our unelected Majesty's government in this appalling...
Bundle him into the sack and drag him back to the twatter, Polly, me hideous pickled walnut. It's time for the second phase of our cunning plan.
How come I have to do all the manual labour?
Because you're the one with the tattoos.
Exactly 5 minutes and 33 seconds later, back on board the Twitter.
Right, throw him into the cage, Polly, me hirsute pickled gherkin. That's every last member of the Conservative Cabinet rounded up. And what an ugly ensemble of Etonian inbreds they make as well. Half of them have several chins too many, and the other half have no chins at all. Hammer the broom, Polynesia, me old cow. Theresa May has left a steaming mound of droppings beneath the console.
So what now? She asks, expecting the answer to be implausible and open to a gamut of errors.
Well, now we give them a taste of their own medicine, Poles, me old tufted wart. Using this handy memory-erasing helmet, we'll clear what's left of their minuscule brains, then dump them back in the early 1980s. Not in Eton amongst their fellow succubi, but Knott End Council estate, where, under Thatcher's ludicrous social mobility policies, they'll be stuck forever.
You've got a memory-erasing helmet. How come I don't know about that? Actually, come to think of it, I never did find out what happened last Friday when I woke up on your writing bureau in a sheep costume and then spent the next 4 days walking bow-legged.
Another 5 minutes, 33 seconds later, above the chimney pots of Knott End Council estate.
Hold the cage steady, Polly, me dehydrated sea cucumber. Keep it tilted at an angle over the doorstep whilst I uncouple the bolts.
We probably should have landed on the ground before chopping them out. It's got a 500-foot drop from up here.
No worries. Eric Pickles went first and the rest of them used him as an airbag. Right, now to travel forwards in time again by approximately 35 years to see if our plan has worked and the Great War has been erased from existence. With a bit of luck, the Tories will have seen sense and become a bit more compassionate, and their self-serving anti-austerity measures will be consigned to a history that never happened.
What was that?
At this point, the episode was supposed to end on a cliffhanger, a universe-threatening payoff to all the previous stuff about temporal balloons and interconnected choices. Unfortunately, the writer got carried away with cramming as many archaic jokes into the script as he could, and now we've run out of space. It'll just have to wait until episode 2.
You have been listening to the Lawrence Pendlebury Adventures, episode 1. The Nightmare continues, featuring in order of legal fees Teddy Sedgwick, Maltus Beatiatrix, Carol Porter, Julius Decimalus, Brian Hughes, Totalis Pratica, and Carrie Black, Legatum Obligatus. The incidental music was provided by Kevin MacLeod, and the theme song produced by inserting a microphone up a hedgehog's bum before setting it loose on the M25. Don't forget to tune in next time, Pendlebury heads, for episode 2, The Hemorrhoids of Wrath.
Seriously, do I have to?